Men that scream 50-50 are financially unstable and also mentally unstable because it's in a man's nature to protect and provide. Now you have some men that say, man, money ain't everything. You're only saying money isn't everything because you're financially unstable and you're trying to make an excuse on why you can't provide for the woman you chose.
I have to agree with him. I
Yes.
say you as a man, you're supposed to have everything in order. Your money should be right. You shouldn't have to rely on a woman's money.
And I posted a video of him talking with having a conversation. It was called Traditional Man versus 50-50 Man, right? And all the women in the comments was like they could relate to the guys as being bums, right? Not making excuses, not trying, no drive, no enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying? Just settling for less. And granted, these are their anecdotal experiences, but it got to be some truth to what they say, even though it might be offensive to some men because they saying to themselves, yeah, I do what I'm supposed to do in my relationship. But the reality of it is a lot of these dudes out here are bums.
That's
You got
true.
dudes out here that's just fucking, because they come right from out mom's house to their girlfriend's house and still trying to figure it out or making excuses why they can't excel in whatever it is they doing. Granted, everybody is not going to be a millionaire, but goddamn it, you could be a thousandaire.
Yeah.
How are you choosing women and then telling them that they're going to work to pay half of the bills because you're unable to be 100% man?
His last point was that, all right, so here's the thing. It's not like when you meet a woman nowadays, especially if she on her own, that she's not already paying bills. Right? Now, on average, the average man making between $40,000 a year, right? And according to the stats, they say if you're making between 70 and 100,000, you're doing better than most Americans. With that being said, even in the 70,000, 100,000 bracket, you're still not living well enough that you could let your woman stay home and be in her feminine, cook and do all these things with the cost of living. The point he was trying to make in one of his videos is that if you have to share bills with your lady who would pay bills anyway if she was out on her own, you're not a man, you're a male. What's your thoughts?
I wouldn't say that the money makes you a man, though, but to be a man is things internal inside of yourself. It's not just the money
Right.
and the housing and the finances and the clothes. That's just one aspect of being a man. But I would say you shouldn't have to rely on your woman to cover your side of the bills.
Correct.
You should have everything. You don't have to cover 100%, but you need to make sure that you can at least take care of yourself first. And she's just an addition to your life. She's coming in to help you, but don't rely on her to cover things you should cover on your own.
One thing that women say is that other groups of men, they don't have this discussion, right? Because they're already doing these things. They're the providers. But according to the stats, this is not just black men on average. This is all men. But all men, white men on average make $10,000 more than black men on average. But still, it's not above average. So everybody's still living hand to mouth for the most part. So these two incomes, they go well together. And one thing that people are failing to mention is that these other groups, they're already working together. They realize, they know that, hey, if I could take care of myself, right, and you could take care of yourself, if we bring these things together, now we got one whole income, meaning an electric bill, a grocery bill, a cable bill, a mortgage or a rent. We putting that all in the bank because we can survive on one income. A lot of people don't even understand the whole concept of being months ahead in their bills, meaning that, yeah, I got 8 months of my bills in the bank to fall back on in case something happened. But people out here living check to check. So that's one part that I feel like get left out the conversation. I think that when it comes to 50-50, I believe in 100-100. Granted, when I met my lady, I already had my home. She came and made it a house. But when I met my lady, she didn't need anybody. So what we did was merge these things together. And we formed like Voltron. And I don't think that should be frowned upon.
That's how it's supposed to be. You're the man, she's the woman, she's coming in as an addition.
Correct.
As a complement to your life. Not the main source of happiness or as to rely on in your life.
I think a lot of the complaints from women is that you got a lot of guys out here, they're bums. And and it's the truth. I've seen them, I know some of them. They're bums. They bouncing house to house, not holding down a job. So not only is they not holding, if you can't hold down a job, there's no way for you to move forward in anything and excel and be able to be the boss or branch off and start your own whatever because you can't even get the basics together. And I see a lot of men like that. Running around here, they ain't even got their credit together. Granted, now, it's a lot of fault to the men that came before them because a lot of stuff these guys don't know. It haven't been taught to them. But in this day and age, when we got all these smartphones, instead of looking at corn and everything else, look up financial literacy. I don't know.
I think a lot of it stems from a lot of these men being raised with no fathers in the house. And they don't have no guidance, no teachings.
Yeah.
It's all stems together.
I agree.
It's all correlated. These men, they're still boys looking for mommy to hold their hand.
And that's what happens. So they come from mom's bosom to their girlfriend's bosom. And it's like you got a Jody.
Yes, exactly.
You got your baby boy.
He won't never leave mommy. He won't never leave the house.
And when they get in an argument, he go back to mom's house, and then mom gets tired of him. He go back to the girl because he don't know how to survive.
Multiple baby mamas. But I would say this too about the women. You choose these types of men.
Yeah.
And then you have the nerve to complain later about them.
In all fairness to the women, though, they're being raised by because we want to be fair across the board, they're being raised by the same person. So, I don't know. I'm just saying. That's how it starts. Because it's true. And you know what's crazy? It's funny you say that because when I was reading all these comments and it was getting a whole lot of engagement and all these women were saying the same thing. They're not lying. No, and it's triggering as a man because I know I handle my business. And I know the guys around me handle their business. But these are their anecdotal experiences, and they count. This is their personal experience because mine's different. I can't say to them, no, that's not right, or that's not this. That's their experience. But that do come from their choices. So.
And then you get mad when she's talking to you in a tone that you dislike. How can you demand respect in a home that you're making her pay 50-50 for? First, a king gets himself right. He learns himself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. He builds himself up so he can build his kingdom for his queen. You guys are going after queens and having the queens help you build your kingdom.
Now, the reality of it is, though, everybody is not going to be at the top of the mountain, at the top of the pyramid. For winners, there got to be losers. So he's speaking from a standpoint of somebody who's well off. But the majority of men are not well off. The majority of Americans are not well off. So what happens is the lot of average people, they open up their phones and they see this and they see how stars and celebrities lives and they feel like, hey, I should have that. And they start looking at Bob like, Bob, you're not doing enough. But Bob is working 3 shifts. And he's bringing in everything and he's giving it to her. He ain't on drugs. He's not out here partying all night. He's bringing it home. He's paying his bills and it's just enough to survive.
Typical good guy.
Yeah.
Cookie cutter. You come home and you pay the bills and you work 60, 70, 80
the
hours.
The salt of America. But
do the right thing.
Right.
Doing the right thing for what he was taught.
Right. And you know what? A lot of women say, well, hey, he don't have enough ambition. He don't have enough drive. But like sometimes everybody is not going to be the boss because somebody got to do the work. Those men like me, men like you should not be looked down upon.
It's your money, your clothes, your status. None of that at the end of the day makes you a man. It's who you are on the inside, your values,
Yes.
your beliefs, core principles, your standards. Money at the end of the day cannot decide that. I have a problem with women who they make all this money, say they make 150,000, 200,000. They believe they're the head of the household.
Just based on that one
Just
thing.
based off
because
of
that's
money.
Right.
That's
Right.
not true.
Right.
As a man, the man isn't the head of the household. You are there to support him on his mission and objectives. The money is just money. You can split it. It's an external object. You can
Right.
do whatever you want with
It's
the
like
money.
putting gas in the car.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, with the money is just, it's like gas in the car, hence
It's
how
a
far
utility.
you'll go. You know what I mean? But the character of a man and all other things, that the protector, the bump in the night we get up.
Exactly.
And another side of this discussion is that it's a lot of women, even though if you look at your phone, you would think a lot of women want that. But it's women out there who had experienced that quote unquote guy with all this money, and he had sole control over the woman. Her comings and goings, what she can and can't do, giving her allowance. In this day and age, with the boss women, do you think that's what they really want?
See, the thing about the whole equality and the boss babe thing is they don't really want that. They
Right.
want a man that they can be feminine to. What do they say? Rest in their femininity. They want
Right.
a man that's just going to take the lead and handle everything. They don't want to really
Right.
be in charge,
Right. So,
despite what they say.
Right. If she making 100,000 a year, 120,000 a year, she might not be able to find that man to still practice that femininity because the average guy is not making that amount of money. They say only 17% of men in this country makes between 70 and 100,000, and only 12% make over 100,000. So like these women who rightfully so are successful, they might not ever get their guy. So then they say how they say where they gotta settle for less, lower their standards,
Lower their
because
standards.
and that's the argument a lot of women having these days, because for the most part they are being successful. Regardless, whatever excuse, we know how the system is. We know what's happening with black men and men in general. But regardless of that, sit at the side. When you look at it, women are, especially black women, starting a lot of businesses. Number one in entrepreneurship and all these different things, which are great. But that's not what's happening with men. At least not the men that they looking for.
And the problem with that being also is men do not want a woman that is in a masculine energy like that.
Well, I get
Constantly
it.
trying to outdo a man. That's not what men are attracted to.
Yeah, the competition.
It's the
And
competition.
you don't even got to have a lot of money and find, resources to have that dynamic.
You're not kings, you're backwards. And you will never become the greatest version of yourself until you know the position that the woman is supposed to play. Her role isn't in the battlefield, her role is on the throne. Why? Because she's a divine nurturer. But you forgot the laws. You no longer want to be a provider. You no longer want to be a protector. And then you're eating food that's so high in estrogen that you guys are sitting home gossiping. Man, you see what she was wearing today? And
You right though. See,
He's
here's
right.
the thing. The thing about being a man, I may not never reach his level of success where I could provide that type of life for my wife, right? But I still feel everything he's saying. You got to be the best version of yourself. You have to get out here and try. You may have to work 2 jobs. That may come with sacrifices. That mean you can't sit around and play the video game. You can't go out with the guys on Friday night to go drink at the pub. You still got to take care of your health and hit the gym and watch what you eat. You still got to make time for your wife or your lady, your girlfriend. And if you got a kid, make the football practice and make the play the video game with them, be a dad. It's so many different things we gotta do. Take the trash out, cut the grass.
Like, did you guys ever split bills 50-50?
The money?
Bills. Did she ever have to pay bills?
She ain't paid 1 cent on any house bill. All the money she spends on herself.
Amen.
Unless it's something she wanted in the house and say, I want to buy this and that. That's kind of her too. But I'm the one going to take care of her and the house, you see.
Yeah.
Did she
And,
work,
uh,
or did you take care of them?
Yeah, she worked, but she spent her own money.
Right.
She didn't spend her money on the house or anything. Maybe something she wanted. Women are made to manage the home. Men are made to bring in the finances and give it to the manager, which is the wife, and trust her to do with it.
I disagree with that. I believe as a man, you are the architect, you are the manager of everything. And your woman is there to add to it. She can give her 2 cents on the direction y'all should go. But ultimately you have the final say in how you want your kingdom to be ran.
Only thing I would say, would that nowadays what you just said is considered toxic masculinity, unfortunately, and that's what I mean by you can't have it both ways. You want men to step up and lead and all that stuff, but then you second guess them every step of the way. You got to pick a man that you can respect to do everything that you just said. The problem is it's some women coming out the factory with that mindset, but they get a fucking Pookie or Ray Ray, and now they're tarnished. So when you come along with the right ideas and the character and will to do it, you're going to get resistance and second guess the whole way. Only thing I would have to say to this is that look how old he is. Look how old he is. We do not live in that time, and things have changed. I bet when all this was going on, you couldn't even drink out certain water fountains. So it's like we be having these conversations and we leave out a whole lot of determining factors. You know what I'm saying? Even when you start thinking about why men wasn't in the house, what happened in the 70s, the late 60s, and the 80s, it's a lot of things that led to where we are at now, but they say that's excuses. But these things are determining factors. Now, you can't dwell on the things. I think moving forward with all this information and we're hearing the women's side, we're looking at the men and where they're at, we're looking at the women and where they're at, it's time for us to try to create some new norm because it's all well, but women nowadays, they're not trying to hear that. Even unless only way that's going to fly if you're paying all the bills. That's it. So now you become her boss.
Yes.
I'm just saying. But that comes with being able, and I'm pretty sure, and that's what I guess femininity kicks in because she ain't gonna have no pushback because she done invested all her trust in you. Meaning, the bread, water, the lights, the heat, everything you're taking care of everything. So of course, in that situation, she have no other choice but to let you lead. But her coming out she coming out the world and y'all meeting each other in the world and she's who she is and you who you are and her life experiences are what they are and yours are what they are, it's always going to be friction. I mean, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but the problem is with the women saying that any kind of way you act as a traditional man is toxic masculinity. That's the problem we're having today.
Yeah.
And they don't allow boys to be boys. They don't want a man to be a man.
Right.
They want you to be more like they are.
They want to build the bear.
And then they complain about the lack of masculinity in today's men. When you are one of the main contributors to this problem. But
Yes.
they don't want to take accountability
Right.
at all for this.
I think that I just see a conflict of interest in a sense because like in one breath, women, I don't think they ready to lay the whole we're the most this and most that down to be up in somebody's house cooking and listening to a person. You know what I'm saying?
To them,
it
that's
sound
considered
good.
slavery.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't want to be barefoot in the house cooking and pregnant.
But yeah, right.
40s, 50s, no more.
Right. But I'm going to say this, though, right? Just to bring it all back together. To the women's point, and I agree with them. Now, everything we said about this average income and all these different things and us working together. The problem is, I guess a lot of men still thinking that, you know, they're going to sit around on their ass. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to take the trash out. They're not going to help with the kids. They're not going to help with homework while she's working all these hours. She's dropping them off to school and picking them up, getting them ready, cooking, making sure their homework done. It's not to say that he's not doing stuff, but he's not meeting her halfway and taking on half of that other burden. And then she still got to pay half the bills or whatever the case may be. Or she may be the breadwinner, and then it's a 30-70 thing or a 60-40 thing. And she's stuck with this motherfucker who she got to fight with to just fucking help the little Joe with his homework. And I think that's the argument that women make. So I don't even think a lot of women in reality have a problem with 50-50, but it should be 50-50 down the board.
Hey, check this shit out. See, everybody take a fall, but the question is, you can get back on your feet, standing 10 toes like a grown-ass man.
You crazy for this one.
See, tell me something, though.